Welcome to another episode of the Cooking Odyssey. On today's show, I have 3 great recipes from one of my favorite places back in Greece. First, we'll make kalchounia, a sweet cheese pastry, followed by a lovely seafood recipe made with cod and chickpeas. And we'll finish it off with rakomelo. This is a drink, raki with honey. So, our guide Eva, who will actually show up in our kitchen in a bit, will take you back to Greece and show you where these recipes come from.
Considered to be the Saint-Tropez of Crete, home of one of the 2 golf courses on the entire island and the former leper colony of Greece. Welcome to Ag Nikolaos. Ag Nikolaos is a coastal town in Crete which lies east of the island's capital of Heraklion. The name Ag Nikolaos means Saint Nicholas. The center of town is surrounded by Lake Voulismeni and the marina. Lake Voulismeni is connected to the sea by a narrow inlet, and as the lake joins the sea with a strip of water under the tiny road bridge, the island of Agyi Pandes, or All Saints, can be seen. The marina is surrounded by cafes, restaurants, stores, and traditional fishing boats. Walking around the marina, I discovered many little side streets with unique shops where you can find anything from the latest jewelry and fashions to a variety of local products, such as olive oil, herbs, and soaps. Many studies have been done about the Mediterranean diet, and I had the pleasure of spending time with Mr. Panayotopoulos, president of the Greek Academy of Taste, and an authority on both the Mediterranean and the Cretan diet. Mr. Panayotopoulos, as a president of the Greek Academy of Taste, could you tell us a few things about the Cretan cuisine?
Some 22 years old, there was an excellent research work published about Cretan cuisine, and then we first learned that Cretan cuisine exists and it has a consistency since the Minoan years till now. They consume 100 grams olive oil per day, and they use no other fat. The olive oil has a lot of antioxidants, and along with the fresh lemon and orange that we use, the fresh grapes, give a very good boost in our health. The second thing and the main thing is the very small consumption of red meat, and they were working a lot those years.
There was so much more to learn about the Cretan diet from Mr. Panayotopoulos, but I had to get to my next destination. Elunda is widely known for its array of seaside luxury resorts, which are heavily visited by VIPs and jet-setters from all over the world. But more intriguing for me was the small fishing village of Plaka, which overlooks the island of Spinalonga. When I arrived in Plaka, I took a boat ride to the island of Spinalonga. Once inhabited by the Venetians and the Turks, the island was abandoned until the early 20th century, when a leper colony was created on the island. The leper colony lasted from 1903 until 1957. For many years, Spinalonga was not visited because of its negative past, but recently there has been a renewed interest in the island and its history. As you walk through the various buildings, artifacts are displayed along with photographs and narratives to give visitors an insight into what life was like on the island. People fell in love and were married on Spinalonga. They had children, some of whom grew up with them without ever catching the disease. They looked after one another, did any work they could to improve their lives, ran their own businesses, and had their own church with a brave priest who, though not a leper himself, volunteered to spend his life among the exiles. As I was leaving Spinalonga, I marveled at the people who endured so much, but at the same time never stopped living. Returning to Plaka, I made my way to Kafenio της Lefterias, which means Freedom Cafe, where a group of friends had gathered for Cretan mezedes and raki. As I stepped into the Kafenio, I felt as if time had stopped in the 1970s. Even the music playing was coming from old 45s. Food, singing, and of course dancing was on the menu. As you can see, everyone had a good time.
Crete is known for these sweet cheese pastries called kalchounia. I call them Cretan delights. So let's get started. For this recipe, we need the following ingredients: first for our dough, we need some flour, an egg, Greek strained yogurt, some extra virgin olive oil, some sugar, a bit of baking powder, and some brandy. And for our filling, we need some mejithra cheese. This is the sweet variety, 1 egg, some sugar, orange zest, cinnamon, some flour, and then 1 extra egg for glazing our pastries before we add them in the oven. And of course, a little bit of cinnamon in the end to dust over the final product. So let's get started here. I'll start with my dough. I'll add my sugar and my baking powder. Whisk my dry ingredients. I'll add in my olive oil. And I'll take a spoon and just mix the olive oil with these dry ingredients. I'll take my egg, give it a little whisk, and add it right in here. And my Greek yogurt. Mix it with a spoon at first, and then I'll use my hands to knead the dough. So I have this nice consistency with the dough, but I want to add a little brandy, very little, just 1 tablespoon max. I'll let the dough rest now. Put that over here. I have a bowl here with some mejithra cheese. There's 2 varieties. There's one that's more salty and one that's sweeter. We want the sweet version. So if you go to your local Greek specialty store, you want to ask for the sweet version if you want to make kalitsunia. I have 1 egg. I just want to use the egg yolk. Get rid of the egg white. Right in there. And here I have my dry ingredients and also my orange zest. Add all these right inside. First, give it a mix with a fork. Of course, the cinnamon aroma is coming off. We're good. Now, we'll roll out our dough. Let's get some flour even under our dough. Beautiful. And some on our rolling pin. Okay. Keep turning. And constantly turn it over so it doesn't stick. Now, if you can't find mejithra at your supermarket or local Greek specialty store, ricotta or mascarpone works really well. Now it's time to take this little circle cutter and cut our dough. Okay, like this. Beautiful. Now let's take our mixture here. Not too much filling in the center. All right, that's it. You can just use your fingers to spread it near to the rim of the dough, and then just fold in the sides like that with your thumbs. That's done. We'll add it right there, and we'll continue with the rest of them. Okay, so let me just press the cheese filling on the dough. Pinch the edges around like that. Don't they look beautiful? So let's just transfer them over to our baking tray. And you know, making these types of pastries is a great family activity. Myself, I love to do this with my nephews and nieces. So let's get this egg here. Give it a nice beating. And a light coating over each one. Beautiful. And our final one. I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees. I'll pop these in there for 15-20 minutes.
The Lichnostatis Museum aims to promote the understanding and awareness of the Cretan heritage with an intimate look into Cretan life for the past 150 years. Yanni Markakis is the curator of the museum, and he gave us a guided tour of a few of the museum exhibits. Our first stop was his great-great-grandfather's house.
So this is the farmhouse of the late 19th century in Crete. It belongs actually to my grandfather who lived in the eastern side of Crete, in Sitia, and is divided in two parts by this arch here. So we have the interior part, which has the chimney, which served as a fireplace together as a cooking spot. And then also the exterior part, which has the large jars and ceramic vases that served as places for storing all the goods that the Cretan earth produced, like the olive oil, the wine and the grain. So this is a more recent house than the previous one. It's the middle-class house of the beginning of the 20th century, where the people, the owners, wanted to expose their wealth and their social high status. They had lots of embroideries and handicrafts and lots of china items that they had on the walls. And also we have the double wedding bed, where they had lots of the dowry exposed there. The women's dowry, young girls, when they got married, they were bringing their fortune, which was consisted mainly of the embroideries and the handicrafts, and they decorated their new home. And also lots of different items that they had, like the high tech of those times, the sewing machine or the gramophone, and also the place for having their wedding marital crowns as a sign of faith between the couple, and the cradle, the baby bed for the babies of the house.
Our next stop at the museum was the schoolhouse.
A school of the past, as we call it, and the visitors of the museum, and especially the children groups that we have, they see how the school life was. They learn about the several ways that the children used to learn in the past, with all the maps, the old maps, and also the clothes that the children, the school pupils used to wear. And the blackboard that you see on my back suddenly turns to a screen, and the children play digital games about the several subjects and the several collections of the museum, as well as they see a film about how was the school life of the past here in the local area, based on pictures that are donated to us by the members of the Elderly Society of the Chersonissos.
The next stop was the windmill.
And in this very mill we have the story of the miller and his wife, because I need to explain here that the windmills were built high up on remote slopes far away from the villages. So the millers were romantic people who lived alone, and they tended to think in verses and in rhymes. So we have this story of this miller and his wife Eleni. He used to write with a piece of coal on the wall of his windmill every 21st of May, which was the name day of his wife Eleni, a rhyme for her as a present. And year after year the rhymes have been piling up on the wall, and we finally end up with a chronicle of love and affection between the couple, which is conveyed by these mandinades, these rhymes, these Cretan rhymes, as we have them here. And I could translate one for you as a sample. In 1955, Eleni becomes to get more aged, and she's more older, and she's not as pretty and young as she was. And he writes for her, "Eleni, your beauty evaporates and mingles with the clouds, but then comes back as morning dew to the fragrant flowers." And this is the essence and the story of the couple of Yannis and Eleni, which ends up in 1970 when Eleni dies, and he writes for her, "Eleni, our love will not be buried by death, will remain to our hearts and to our bones even." So this is a very touching story which really moves and captivates all the visitors of the museum.
The Lichnostatis Museum is very unique, and the staff's greatest goal is to ensure that the history and traditions of Crete are passed on to younger generations.
Welcome back, folks. I have with me in the kitchen now our friend and travel guide for the Cooking Odyssey, Eva Tsureka. Welcome, Eva.
Hello, Yannis. It's nice to be here. What are we cooking today?
We're going to making a lovely cod recipe, bacalharo with revithia, chickpeas. Okay, so the ingredients are some fresh cod, chickpeas, lemon juice, a bit of chopped onion, some salt, flour, and of course extra virgin olive oil. So let's begin cooking, and if I can have the olive oil, please.
Here you go.
Thank you. We'll heat the pan to medium-high heat. Okay. We're looking to generously add oil here, about 1/4 cup to the bottom of the pan. Let me get our onions in here first. Can I have a spatula, please? Okay. Thank you. Give it a nice coating. We're looking for the onions to soften up. Give them 2 minutes, then we'll add our chickpeas.
The chickpeas are already boiled, right?
Of course, I soaked them overnight in cold water. Then the next day I drained the water, of course, and boiled them until they got soft. Okay, it took over an hour for that to happen. And I think it's time for our revithia, okay? Okay. And a little bit of pepper, please. Actually, not a little bit, a lot. And we have our salt here, a few pinches. So now let's add our cod carefully over the bed of chickpeas. And I'll season up a bit and just a little salt. That's enough. Cover this up. It takes 10 to 12 minutes, and then we'll make our lemon sauce. Okay?
Great.
Our cod is done, Eva. Let's make our lemon sauce. I have our lemon juice here and some flour here. Let's just whisk it. A nice mixture. Get rid of any lumps. And let's add it right over the fish. Nice little shake. Okay. So we'll let this cook for a few more minutes. The sauce needs to thicken up a bit. What I love about this particular recipe is that it's incredibly easy to make and incredibly healthy. It's loaded with protein between the fish and the chickpeas. And I'll get this nice piece here. Carefully add it right there. And some sauce right over the top. Καλή μας όρεξη.
Καλή όρεξη.
It's nice and flaky and moist, the fish. This is how you want it. Very refreshing.
Very nice.
The lemon taste, very simple. And how about a little bit of chickpeas? Aren't they
very
flavorful?
And I love when a food is guilt-free, you know?
Okay, yeah, of course.
And it tastes great.
I'm very happy about this. I think you're very happy about that as well. And when we get back, Eva has promised rakomelo.
My journey through Crete brought me to Mochlos, a small seaside village that stands opposite a small island with the same name. Mr. Petrakis, the business development director of Sitia, told me that extensive Minoan remains which date back to 3000 BC have been found on Mochlos Island. The most significant finds have been jewelry that are said to be prototypes for the jewelry found at the archaeological site of Knossos Palace. The excavation taking place on Mochlos Island piqued my curiosity, but I had one more stop to make on this part of my journey. Kapetaniana is a small village perched at an altitude of 2,600 feet on the Asterousia Range west of Kofinas Peak, which has magnificent views of the Libyan Sea and tiny villages with spectacular beaches. I found myself in Kato Kapetaniana at Thalori Resort, a complex of 15 restored traditional houses that are slowly bringing this village back to life. The cobblestone streets and homes are charming and inviting, and I was intrigued to see that wood-burning ovens are still being used today. I even made a new friend who did some exploring with me. The village has slowly been restored to its original glory using local materials and authentic decor wherever possible. While I was exploring the complex, I went to meet Theano Vrentsu, the vice-regional governor of Crete, and we sat down to speak about Crete and its products. Mrs. Vrentsu stated that the favorable climate in Crete lends to the strong agricultural industry of the island. There is a push to increase the exportation of all products produced in Crete. Cretans are proud people, and this is reflected through their efforts to ensure that only the highest quality products are exported. Mrs. Vrenzou's office is working on making all Cretan products a household name. One such way is to ensure that all Cretan products bear a certificate of Cretan authenticity. As Crete is working on becoming a culinary travel destination, Mrs. Vrenzou invites everyone to experience Cretan food and hospitality. Mrs. Vrenzou says, when Cretans sit down to eat, it is always a party. I think she was right. The main dish at the Sunday meal in Kapetaniana is arni antikristo, which is lamb that is slow roasted opposite an open fire. Friends, food, wine, and of course singing made for a great meal and wonderful memories during my time in Kapetaniana.
Eva,
Yanni?
you are going to show me how to make rakomelo
Of course,
now,
are you ready? Actually, it's very easy. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take the raki and we pour it here.
Medium heat? Okay.
And then we take the honey and we add it.
So this is Cretan honey?
Of course. And thomelo
Ah,
from the flowers. And if you want to make it at home, remember that for 4 shots of raki, you add 2 teaspoons of honey.
okay.
You see now, Yanni, all the honey is absorbed by the raki, so we can see that it's ready.
And I have a little surprise for you.
Cretan kalchounia with Cretan raki.
Indeed. I made this earlier before you got here. Dusted a little cinnamon on here. And it's
They look
time
great.
to taste
Can I
them,
taste it?
of course. Incredibly delicious.
Amazing. Cheers.
Yamas.
Yamas.
So good. We'll see you on the next Cooking Odyssey. Sinigasas. Join us on the next episode of the Cooking Odyssey, where we explore medieval villages, tour a winery that has resurrected an almost extinct variety of grapes, and discover a product that can only be cultivated on this island.